Welcome to Mindshock. This is your host, Bruce McGuire, and you are listening to Anti-Flat Earth Grifters Exposed, Part 2. And we will be continuing to examine these possibly mentally disabled grifters who've just been coming out of the woodwork.
I couldn't imagine.
And dedicating themselves full time to humiliating themselves, proving they don't have the mental capacity to argue any side of any issue. Clearly demonstrating they can't even grasp preschool level English definitions. And it's almost like they have some kind of fetish for humiliating themselves. I mean, again, I don't claim to know what is or isn't true. Maybe they're just paid shills and just these brilliant actors who can go full retard and somehow be convincing. Again, I'm not claiming to know which of these theories is true. Maybe they do have legitimate mental disabilities. And we will be going over various video clips put together by the one and only Robot Polisher in an attempt to decipher what is behind these grifters' feeble minds pulling their strings or compelling them in some way to humiliate themselves to this level, to just make entire social media accounts dedicated to proving and clearly demonstrating their incomprehension. As always, if you find the Mindshock podcast interesting, informative, and entertaining, you can donate to our PayPal. Help support the channel. Just check the link in the description. You can also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Help support the channel that way. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share. Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. Patrons do get priority for case topic, logical analysis, co-podcasts, or requests. You could also be a guest in the podcast depending on your tier. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind, leave them in the comment section. Or if you're here with us live in the chat here, I will try to get to all of them. So we're gonna pick up right where we left off. Witsit was thrashing Craig of Fight the Flat Earth here, which is obviously not difficult to do. I mean, this guy gets beat like a redheaded stepchild every single time somebody accepts a debate with him. I mean, I don't think I've seen, unfortunately, I've seen quite a few hours of this goof. I don't think I've seen any debate where I mean, forget winning. Is there any debate where he even holds his own in any way? Where he even demonstrates any kind of comprehension of any basic definitions? I don't know. I don't know. He's hallucinating that about time dilation. I mean, all these gifts, and he just throws around the term word salad every time he gets obliterated, and it's demonstrated. Every time his mental disability and mental incomprehension is clearly demonstrated, his only cope is to say, oh, that was word salad. All he can do is stack these logical fallacies.
That works, so yeah, back to you.
They don't understand the basics of anything, let alone debating relativity.
I mean, I don't know who the goof on the right is, who's not even competent enough to understand what the framing of the camera is, but his subconscious is on point there. His subconscious has accurately projected that these grifter goofs, they don't understand the basics of anything. I mean, that seems to be true.
I haven't studied relativity. I don't know a lot about relativity.
That's an interesting admission of a goof who just keeps spanning it with religious fervor. So he's not even pretending to know that much about relativity while he defends it with religious fervor because he's so thoroughly indoctrinated into his cult of scientism. But that's actually a shocking admission. Usually narcissists like this goof, usually they don't admit that they don't know a lot about something. That's curious.
So I don't really understand the argument.
I'm not a relativity expert. I don't claim to be. I don't care to be. Doesn't fucking matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't fucking matter.
So you don't understand it.
No, certainly do.
No, you don't. You literally don't.
All right, come on.
Okay, let me explain it to you.
You just do your thing, and you're just pretending like it's a problem, but you have no idea what you're even talking about, right? People that don't understand what how the moon phases are created are trying to argue relativity.
I'm not. No, I don't know.
So you disagree with Einstein?
I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know whatever. I mean, these mentally disabled goofs, I mean, they don't even really put up that much of an effort either. I mean, at least goofs like Sartain, like Michael Sartain, the current reigning, defending Dunning-Kruger champion who can spam fallacies with verbal diarrhea that rivals any other human on Earth. I mean, maybe Destiny can compete with Sartain in the field of verbal diarrhea and spewing fallacies. But, yeah, I mean, look at this goof here. Look at this goof here. I mean, he's not even, he's not even putting up a good front. Usually these narcissists, their narcissism is so extreme, they have to at least pretend to understand what they're talking about. His argument is, I don't know whatever. This McToon goof. Should we just call him McGoof? I mean, this guy is cartoony, so perhaps that explains his moniker. But just psychologically, this is so fascinating to break down, because these grifters they're not even really making any bones about their grifting. Because you would think that a truly dedicated grifter, at least they would either study relatively or at least pretend they understood it better, because they pretend they understand all these other things. So it is curious. It's very, very curious.
Don't care.
Oh my god.
Whatever. It doesn't help you.
Conclusion and the way you've reached your conclusion is wrong.
I don't have the right words to tell you exactly why.
I mean, does it surprise people that these mentally disabled goofs are actually being honest in certain instances? Like Craig here, I mean, look at this guy. If you just took a random image from the internet, like what percentage of people would deem an individual like this mentally disabled? Now, I know you can't judge a book by its cover, but you can get an idea of a book, at least some kind of semblance, without full judgment or conclusions. You can usually get a relatively decent idea, other than the outliers and the exceptions. You can usually get a pretty decent idea of what a book, the contents of a book, by the cover. Look at this cover here. Is this not a mentally disabled individual? Again, unless he's just this brilliant of an actor. And who the powers that be paid this goof this much money to shill and humiliate himself. I mean, I don't know any actors in Hollywood that can pull off full retard this convincingly. I mean, is Craig of Fight the Flat Earth simply on another level than most Hollywood actors? Or does he genuinely have a mental disability? But it seems like the honesty does creep through here, because he admits he doesn't have the mental capacity to explain why someone else is wrong, but he just has blind faith that his cult of scientism has given him the correct information. He can regurgitate the information on command, but he doesn't understand the information itself, and he can't explain it. Are people surprised at this level of honesty from Craig here?
Now we can talk about your misunderstanding of Nicholson Morley, which I know you're terrified.
No, I don't have any misunderstanding.
This is going to take 5 years to get through. Of course, Craig doesn't have any misunderstanding of anything. Because, again, when you're dealing with this level of narcissism, obviously Craig could have never misunderstood anything about anything, ever, in his whole pathetic life. I mean, it's just not a possibility. And that's why all of this Dunning-Kruger plus narcissism plus sheer mental disability, this kind of trifecta combo is very dangerous, because there is no reasoning with this kind of individual other than to provide comedy for the people watching. I don't know why anyone would even agree to waste their time in any kind of debate with a goof like this. Christopher Allen in the chat says, honestly, I'm surprised Craig can breathe on his own. Not only can he breathe on his own, he can even tie his own shoes. I mean, it is impressive. I have to say, I was a little bit impressed. I mean, I wasn't assuming whether he could or he couldn't. I was on the fence about it. I wasn't sure whether, his mental disability would also overlap into coordination or shoe tying issues. I was unsure, which is why I presented the challenge, because I wasn't sure. Like, if I had to bet money, I could not have bet that he could tie his own shoes. I wouldn't necessarily bet money that he couldn't. I was simply not confident that he could.
Mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling. Yeah.
Transform science. Not only physics, but science.
He's convinced everyone that he could beat me in an IQ test.
I tweeted at him and I said, I will donate $1,000 to the charity of your choice in your name if you take an IQ test live in public. Witz's response to me was, one of the few times he actually responded, was that I was clueless about it and I was arrogant.
I mean, is that an inaccurate response? I wonder would he take a soy level? Would this guy take a soy level test in public? Who can guess what this guy's soy levels are here? I mean, look at his feminine mannerisms as he's talking. I mean, it's kind of painful to watch. I mean, obviously his levels probably aren't as through the roof as Soy Lodge is. But I mean, this guy does not emit any kind of masculine energy here.
I haven't brought up relativity as being observable, provable, or anything. I'm talking about gravity, which is Newtonian, not Einsteinian.
If you believe in the current model of Earth, then you subscribe to relativity.
I'm not talking about that right now. You can empirically verify that mass attracts mass.
Gravity does not work on the quantum scale. So,
It's kind of tough, because I don't know if McToon's that good of an actor. I mean, I don't know. He might legitimately have this mental disability, but if it is empirically... It's one thing to say it's empirically verifiable that mass attracts mass, but where's the demonstration of this empiricism? Notice how he never cites any examples, number one. Number two, if he's that clueless about the scientific method, how do you prove that let's say two objects are being attracted. How do you prove the mass itself is what is causing the attraction and not something else, like an electric force? How do you prove that? When goofs like McToon don't even have the mental capacity to understand what a false cause logical fallacy is, or comprehend even the basics of the scientific method, then that leads to statements like this and humiliation like this, which McToon engages in.
course, to be fair.
It's not claiming to work on that scale, so that's not a problem.
Okay, so you are conceding that gravity is not cohesive with observations on the quantum level.
Sure. 100% mass attracts mass.
How do you detect the Earth moving around the sun from the Earth?
There's many ways to do that.
You said something was.
So many ways, yet he can't name one. Oh man, this reminds me of those street interviews, like those political street interviews where, oh, Trump's done a million horrible things. Can you name one? Well, there's just so many. Well, can you name just one? Well, there's just so many. Biden's so great. He's done so many great things. Can you name one thing? Well, there's just so many.
Hanging
From a wire, yes.
Okay, where's the wire coming from?
It's connected to a gimbal at the top.
Where's the gimbal connected to?
The gimbal is connected to the apparatus to hold it up.
Okay, what's the apparatus connected to, Matune?
I don't. Could you just get to your point?
Whatever the gimbal's connected to is connected to the Earth. There is no independent frame of reference, Matune.
So I don't really care for your words in semantics there.
McToon thinks that the scientific method is word semantics. And he doesn't care for the semantics. He doesn't care for the scientific method. He doesn't care for variable verification. He doesn't care for science. So it's interesting how he admits that, but he's too utterly clueless to realize what he just admitted. He just admitted to being a religious zealot of the cult of scientism, because he doesn't care for actual science.
There are many ways to measure the orbit of the Earth around the sun. So,
But he just can't name them. And if McToon's saying there are ways to directly measure the Earth's orbit around the sun, then he's claiming relativity is incorrect, but he's too incompetent to grasp what relativity actually says, so he projects his own intellectual ineptitude onto me.
No result. No result.
The whole position that you hold is that the evidence does support a stationary Earth.
No, it doesn't.
But literally your position is that the evidence supports that the sun moves around the Earth, that the Earth is stationary, but that since relativity is true.
No, that's not my position.
No, this is objective.
This is objectively you strawmanning me.
What's kind of hilarious here is McToon is too utterly clueless to even understand his own position. So it's actually not strawmanning, because Whitsitt actually understands McToon's belief system better than McToon does. But because McToon doesn't have the mental capacity to comprehend any of this. Like, I actually believe McToon's being genuine here. I don't think McToon is lying here or acting. I think he genuinely believes Whitsitt is strawmanning him. Because if he understood the mainstream scientism position he purports to believe in, then he would realize that Austin is actually describing that position accurately. We're not talking about what's true or not. We're not talking about whether flat Earth is true or globe Earth. We're just talking about what the position states. What is the mainstream scientism position? McToon doesn't comprehend the position, even though he claims to believe in it. Austin is actually not strawmanning him. I mean, that's what makes this so funny. I mean, look at McToon's face here. I think McToon might be lying and putting up a front and acting in other instances. But I don't see the deception here. I think McToon genuinely believes Whitsitt is strawmanning him. Because he doesn't have the mental capacity to understand even the basic models.
That's not my position.
No. Relativity says that although the results and the evidence appears to show us that the Earth is stationary, it's actually just an illusion.
Whatever. It doesn't help you.
So you agree with that, though, right?
No, it does not appear to be stationary.
What did relativity put forward that reconciled the negative results?
Yeah, coming up with better experiments. Like Michael said.
Relativity put forward coming up with better experiments?
Yeah, you asked the question, I answered it. Better
That isn't
experiments
an answer.
in the future. In the future. It absolutely is.
So if we look up what relativity is, it's going to say come up with better experiments. I mean, this is just sad. This is really sad. And this all stems from a basic incomprehension of preschool level English. This is preschool level English. Now, because McToon's not on that level, none of this is really going to make sense to McToon. Because he doesn't even understand the basic definitions of words. How can he have any kind of actual legitimate discussion on anything regarding physics or science or anything like that?
Oh my God. That isn't the answer.
But it is. It is the answer.
So,
you don't like it. I don't care that you don't like it. It hurts you.
Wow. I mean, McToon. Whenever McToon gets exposed and decimated, his last cope is psychological projection. So I mean, I feel bad for this guy. I mean, not only the mental capacity is not even 4-year-old level, but the emotional maturity is not even 4-year-old level. I mean, Austin humiliating him actually hurts him this badly. All he can do here to cope is to project that he doesn't like the answers, and the answers are hurting him this badly. So all he has left here is psychological projection. I mean, I genuinely feel sad. I know I was laughing at him earlier, but now I just feel bad for McToon.
Because it contradicts your desperately held position. But I don't care. It doesn't matter.
This is
That's
crazy.
the answer.
So
that's the answer, Austin.
that isn't the answer because he had not done better experiments yet. Just like you said, he's not a time traveler. So
yeah,
he wouldn't be claiming that relativity reconciled something by something that happens in the future. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
he's obviously saying that relativity helped reconcile the negative results they had up to that time. So the question is, well, what does relativity specifically do that helps fix that problem of negative result?
And you can tell by McToon's expression here that he knows he's nowhere near the level of Whitsitt. I mean, he's being talked to like a 4-year-old child, and he still can't grasp it. And he knows he can't grasp it. The micro-expressions betray that here. All he can do is lash out with these projections on how much he's hurt because his desperately held worldview has been shattered and destroyed by just absolute basics. And he can't cope with that. He has no cope left other than this psychological projection. I mean, how do you not feel bad for this guy? I mean, this is just really sad.
I don't. Go ahead. Austin. Say it. Say it. Go ahead. It's not a logical fallacy. It's been measured.
Can it be recreated in a controlled experiment on Earth?
It doesn't need to be.
I'm talking about the harmonic nature of the sun and the moon.
So according to McToon, you don't need to be able to replicate anything. It doesn't need to be. I mean, are there any goofs out there who are still hallucinating that McToon is on the side of science instead of scientism? His religious cult where you don't need to replicate anything?
You're laughing, and you just now said zillion to one odds is realistic.
I don't give a damn about the odds. It doesn't matter at all. So you're saying that Kepler's laws don't work?
I'm saying that they've never been recreated on Earth.
So what?
Specify what type of refraction is causing that
This
to
looks
happen.
to me like a coefficient of refraction of 2 or more.
That is not a type of
I
refraction.
don't care. I don't care to categorize the refraction. I don't care for the categories. Pressure requires containment. I'll take that, yes. There is no claim that there's a pressure adjacent to a vacuum. There is containment, and it is gravity.
Okay, so high pressure will migrate to the low pressure.
Yes, but somehow, where this balloon is, it didn't happen. Strange.
It's still within the containment, McToon.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
You had a bunch of the same people that are in your chat right now pretending I'm stupid.
Yeah.
But you do understand that even though Lorentz contraction was originally
It's
postulated
your giant ego, Austin. Your
and by the way-
massively huge ego that does require a container.
Am I the only one who feels bad for this poor guy? Just getting decimated and humiliated day after day after day. I mean, this is a full-time grifter here. But all he's doing is getting humiliated, and his subconscious is just exposing him this obviously. I can't be the only guy who feels bad for him. Hello, Elaine. We are live. Oh, wow. Awesome Town Matt says, yes, you are the only one that feels bad for him. Interesting. So nobody in the chat has empathy for McToon? I mean, come on. If you were a mentally disabled goof or an actor being paid to humiliate themselves to this level, day in, day out, I mean, that's rough. There's no empathy in the chat for McToon, really? I think we need a poll. I think it's poll time. And just to clarify, I'm not saying, like, if he is he could be dishonest or whatever. This isn't about, maybe he's a horrible human being that defrauds people, etc., etc. That doesn't mean you don't have empathy for this individual just being humiliated and decimated to this level, full time. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Jeff Hunt says, depends on intent, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. You might want to hold off your empathy, but even if he is intending to defraud, and he is a shill, I still I can't help it. Whenever somebody's just humiliated to this level where their own subconscious is exposing themselves like this, I mean, I just can't help but feel bad for goofs like that. I mean, his own subconscious is humiliating himself worse than anybody else. I mean, obviously Whitsitt is doing an incredible job as well. I mean, this level of humiliation is just insane. but McToon's own subconscious is exposing him. I mean, it's crazy. Oh, Breek, what are you ranting about? Wow, Salt with some harsh words for McToon that I will not repeat in the chat. Oh, Breek said, Bruce, do you find it weird Witsit debates elections in 2024? I don't know. I didn't Witsit say sometimes he just does debates to do debates? Because he gets tired of Flat Earth debate just because, you know, all these mental midgets, they don't even understand what he's saying. How are they supposed to debate positions? I think I recall him saying something about he enjoys doing different topics. I actually don't know Witsit's position on Trump or elections or any of that stuff. I mean, trying to remember, but I don't think I've ever heard him support government, so I don't know. Okay, oh, Brick, he was debating Trump versus Harris on Modern Day Debate a week ago. Okay. Lowry in the chat says, Witsit did a whole episode on exposing Trump. Yeah, I mean, I know this comes as a shock to a lot of coincidence theorists and scientism cultists, but sometimes debating a position you don't even believe in, just for either fun or to develop debating skills, I mean, people do that. Not everybody's a zealot. Alright, so the chat overwhelmingly does not feel bad for McToon. I can't help it. I mean, look at this poor goof. How could people not have empathy for this poor guy? Because regardless of whether this is legitimate mental disability or not, I mean, just the fact that his own subconscious is decimating and humiliating him to this level. I mean, to have no empathy. Oh, Breek, have you never been... So are you not aware of, like, how debate teams work? I mean, sometimes they don't even get to pick the topic.
This is bad, bro. This is painful, man. This is why I almost
You
didn't
haven't
agree to do it.
supported your claim. You're saying the natural antecedent. I say it again.
Natural antecedent to gas pressure is containment.
Yeah, and okay, so I agreed to containment. Yep.
Physical containment.
Oh, physical. Okay.
Stop playing semantics. This is wizardry.
Oh, yeah, you
keep doing that.
I have my intuitive version of the world that thinks that the Earth is rotating and spherical. This is so dishonest. Oh,
Yeah,
you just don't understand. You're out of your league. So much
can't
smarter than
talk.
him.
You're
I'm
freaking
Austin.
out.
I'm so smart.
That's his argument. Just putting on a voice and acting like a 4-year-old. While also projecting. Oh, man. I mean, this is sad. This is just so sad. This is a supposedly functional adult. This is supposedly a grown adult here behaving like this.
All the people that think they're smarter than Einstein. It's so funny.
I mean, a lot of issues with with that fallacy there. As if nobody could be smarter than Einstein, number one. Number two, as if Einstein was even smart in the first place. I mean, is the reason Einstein was always sticking out his tongue is because he knew it was all, you know, he was a hoax himself, and he was just another dumb guy being propped up by the establishment in some kind of an Illuminati humiliation ritual of the goofs that believed in it. But obviously, goofs like McToon, the mental capacity is just not there to even comprehend such a possibility.
Oh, you're so dumb.
Oh my gosh, you're stupid. You're so stupid. How can you be that stupid?
Hello, Nachiketa. Awesome Town Matt asked Bruce, do you still feel bad for McToon? Yes, because he's projecting here. He's talking to himself here. His subconscious is crying out for help in this projection. Because he knows he's so dumb and there's nothing he can do about it, and it's causing him this much pain. All he can do is project in these cries for help. I mean, just look at the pain and sadness in this man's eyes. I mean, knowing that he is the way he is, either he took money to shill and humiliate himself for money, in which there's just, this is an empty shell of shame, because he wasn't smart enough to do anything else with his life or too mentally weak, or he's genuinely just that dumb and he's not acting, and there's nothing he can do about it. Either he doesn't have the discipline to just get like a preschool level tutor to at least get to a basic English level. He doesn't have that kind of discipline, and he knows he's that weak mentally. But, I mean, look at just the hatred from him for himself in his eyes here. I mean, this is just a very desperate and sad individual. This is the only cope left, these cries for help in this level of projection. So yes, I do feel bad for this guy. I mean, who would want to be this guy? Would anybody in the chat want to live the life of McToon and be McToon? I mean, I think that warrants a certain amount of empathy, but the chat has spoken. 92% do not feel bad for McToon.
Oh my gosh. You should definitely get yourself fitted for an iron lung in case you forget to breathe.
I mean, just the self-hate this guy must have for himself. It's just so sad. Through all of this projection onto Witsit, I mean, this guy's thoughts about himself and his own views about himself. I mean, I don't know why nobody else has empathy for this poor guy.
You're stupid.
You're just such a moron.
I don't want to be mean, but you deserve it. You do.
I mean, just the self-hate McToon has. He truly believes that he deserves this level of mocking. And maybe he does. Maybe he does deserve to psychologically project like this on himself, but that doesn't mean I can't feel bad for him. Same way as if I saw, a drug addict on the street punching themselves in the face. I mean, if they were a criminal before they became... If their drug addiction is as a result of being a genuinely bad person and a criminal, and maybe they've hurt other people, and they turn to drug addiction, I would still feel bad for them, even if they technically deserved it, if they did bad things. I'm not talking about drug addicts that haven't, obviously. If you haven't checked out the Mindshock podcast on drug addiction, I mean, it's really, really terrible how people look down on people with addictions that are not actual criminals. Obviously, drug use, it's very, very varied. There's plenty of good people that have ended up being drug addicts and homeless, and most people don't want to think about how they themselves could have easily been in that position if not for other circumstances. But I'm talking about, let's say, the people that truly do deserve it, like just horrible people that were criminals and intentionally harmed others. Then they turn to drug use, and they're just standing on a street corner punching themselves in the face. I would still feel bad for them. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But look at just the self-hate in McToon's eyes here. I mean, it's just sad to see this level of self-hate a human has for themselves. I mean, unless he's like a murderer or something, I would still feel bad for him. Yeah, that's a good point too, Phil, in the chat. When you live in a sick society, some cannot deal with it. Yeah, there's plenty of good people who have turned to drug use. And it's a topic most don't talk about it, which is why I did that podcast on it. Because most people just assume that drug addicts are just these worthless humans when there are some very, very kind, good-hearted people that turned into drug addicts. And they've never harmed a soul. I've known some of these people, so I'm not just pulling that out of nowhere. And also, people just don't want to really admit how close they themselves could have been to that life situation simply by being in a different environment, even being the same exact person that they are. Not Chiquetta in the chat says, who knows, maybe these people like Toons were offered a deal they couldn't refuse. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, and look at the self-hate as a result of that. Like, if you took a deal to be an enemy of humanity, I mean, what kind of self-hate do you have in order to take that deal?
All right, put your helmet on and go to bed.
I think another part of the issue, too, is people just don't understand psychological projection. I will definitely have to do a deep dive podcast on psychological projection itself. Because McToon is clearly talking to himself here. That's what people don't get. Maybe that's why there's not enough empathy for him. He's literally having a conversation with himself through the projection here. And his self-hate is just so extreme. I think if people understood psychological projection more, they would feel more empathy for individuals like McToon. Like, imagine hating yourself this much. I mean, it's sad.
Oh my gosh! This tiny little brain thinks I'm smart. And there's me. You're not. You're not. You're so dumb. You're so dumb. Oh my gosh.
You don't know, Austin. You don't understand these topics.
Yes, I'm gonna dog you. Everywhere that you want to be, that's where I want to be. Because I want to expose that you
Are a fraud.
I have a new theory, and I don't think you guys are going to like it. McToon's projection here. What if McToon's the good guy? Now, before you call me crazy in the chat, I am postulating a theory. I'm not saying it's true. What if McToon did take some kind of a shill deal, and he's so ashamed of himself, but maybe his family was threatened, whatever. He can't get out of the deal. So he wants to expose this scientism grift. So he intentionally plays this dumb. He intentionally plays this level of scumbag as some kind of a penance. Like, he's willing to humiliate himself to this level by pretending not even to comprehend basic English. He's willing to act a fool to this level as a penance because of his deep self-hate and shame. This is the only redemption that makes sense to him in this position, because his family's compromised, so he can't just come out and say it. What does everybody think about my theory here? Because, I mean, the self-hate is so evident. That, like, the self-hate and psychological projection in McToon's eyes here, and in his micro-expressions. I mean, this is a guy crying out for help, and he appears to be in some kind of situation where he can't get himself out of. Always Improving in the chat says, maybe I don't understand psychological projection because I'm not seeing self-hatred. Most of the time, psychology is based on more flimsy pseudoscience than astronomy. Well, that is a complicated issue. A lot of projection as described by these so-called psychiatrists or therapists, they don't understand it very well either, because obviously, I mean, what's the estimate? 90+% of all professionals are incompetent in every field, right? I mean, how often does even a mechanic fix something properly? So, it's thrown around inaccurate very often, but when you truly understand it, I don't know if you're into true crime, Always Improving, but watching micro expressions in slow motion of people who have committed crimes, etc., and they get away with it when they blame other people. Like, most communication is nonverbal. I know that's like a catchy type of thing to say, but it's true. When you really study human psychology and human mannerisms, humans are just, they're very, very predictable in many ways. Now, to me, like, this is a textbook psychological projection. This is textbook self-hate, because someone who doesn't hate themselves, they're not gonna have this kind of conversation with somebody. Because if he didn't hate himself and he thought Whitsitt was wrong, he would kindly explain to Whitsitt why he was wrong, or he would have a mental breakdown in a completely different way. Like, if you look at a guy like Bryant Myers, like, there wasn't self-hate with Bryant Myers in his decimation by Whitsitt. That was a guy who was just triggered and having a meltdown. He was projecting in certain ways in terms of not even wanting to he was too mentally weak to consider other views. But I wouldn't say Bryant Myers exhibited self-hate. I think he was quite proud of himself and his degrees, regardless of whether them being worth anything or not. With McToon, you have an entirely different individual with an entirely different set of mannerisms and micro-expressions. I mean, I see a lot of self-hate and shame in his eyes. Not just self-hate, not just shame, but both. So, yeah, I'm just postulating. If let's say he's a shill and he was offered a deal, and let's say he was swayed by the money initially, but now there's so much shame and self-hate, but if his family was threatened, I mean, he can't come out and admit it, so what can he do? If he wants some kind of penance or redemption, what are the options if he doesn't want his family hurt? What are the options? Because he can't come out and say it. But if he makes it so painfully obvious that the scientism position is untenable, it's complete bunk, and he goes to extreme lengths to make that painfully obvious, is that the only redemption possible in this type of situation? I'm just postulating. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just trying to make sense of all of this. Because a normal functioning adult who doesn't have self-hate, they don't talk like McToon. They don't communicate. Their communication style is not McToon or Craig. I mean, it's very interesting, because if you watch the debate with a guy like Bryant Myers, it's a completely different set of mannerisms and communication style.
Now, according to Michelle Fowler,
it's not okay to say that the Earth is flat.
Correct. Yeah, it is not.
It's not okay to think that.
No, it's not.
It's not
because you could see like her expressions here. I mean, this is just pure triggering. I don't see self-hate. I don't see any of that. It's just plain old trigger. She's triggered that other people don't have the blind faith reverence for corrupt establishments that she does. And she's too mentally weak. It shakes her to her core for anybody to even suggest the possibility that she wasted her whole life on religious scrolls that aren't true. So that's just a very, very important distinction as well. That's the reaction most people have. Also, I do want to add something else on McToon. In the clip here, it seems like... Oh, I totally just lost the spot. Like, there's a lot of self-hate there.
I'm gonna dog you. Everywhere that you want to be, that's where I want to be, because I want to expose that you are a
because I see something different.
I'm gonna dog you. Everywhere that you want to be, that's where I want to be, because I want to expose that you are a fraud.
In this clip, I don't see self-hate. It almost looks like he's MK Ultra here. He's got the MK Ultra eyes here. It's like he was programmed. I wonder, was McToon MK Ultra as a personality, and he was engineered as a shill? And his original personality that wasn't MK Ultra, that's where all the self-hate comes in. Because here, he's mentally gone here. He's mentally gone in this clip. I wonder if this clip is older than the other one.
Now, according to Michelle Fowler,
It's not okay to say that the Earth is flat.
Correct. Yeah, it is not.
It's not okay to think that.
No, it's not.
It's not okay.
Thing is, the science deniers that start yapping about independent variables and control variables, they are science deniers.
Now, this clip is interesting because obviously he's projecting here. He's saying that the people that care about the scientific method are denying science. I mean, again, is this a ploy here? Because could you... If he really is the good guy, and if this is his only redemption... See, okay, let's say McToon was an MK Ultra kid. Because obviously, for those that don't know about Operation Mockingbird and the CIA's infiltration of Hollywood, for the goofs that hallucinate that the government would never do this, if these anti-flat Earth grifters were groomed by MK Ultra, is it possible their fractured personalities, one of them, that core personality, is a good guy? How do they fight back? How do they fight back against the MK Ultra programming? Because can you think of something dumber to say that someone who's arguing for the scientific method is a science denier? Like, is that too obvious? Like, is McToon the good guy this whole time? Where he's making the absolute worst arguments possible as a cry for help to expose the MK Ultra programming. I mean, can anybody think of a dumber thing to say than those advocating for the scientific method are science deniers? I mean, is it possible to say something dumber than that within the scope of science debate? Like, it's a level of so dumb that it's hard to believe it. Now, again, I am committing an appeal to incredulity, logical fallacy here myself. Again, I am objective. I call out all the fallacies, even when I'm making them myself. But it's just hard to believe. It's hard to believe that that's not an intentional statement. Is McToon... I mean, look at these eyes. Like, who sees a cry for help here? Who sees an ashamed cry for help in his eyes right there?
This whole independent variable, dependent variable thing is a way to deny science. Yeah, falsification is independent of whatever. You don't move the needle anywhere near Earth flat by falsifying Earth globe.
Hey, Seth, is falsification independent of replacement?
Yes.
Hold on. Moderator, are you mad?
No,
Here we go.
I'm putting you in place.
So
I almost... Hold on, guys. I got you. Whoa, time out.
Dude, stop interrupting, because you're trying to save it.
You almost got me, Ross.
Go on mute, Mr. Moderator.
I'm not going to give you free reign to just yap.
There are a lot of things going on simultaneously here. Let's not fall for false dichotomies. Nachiketa says the villains believe that they are the heroes in their own eyes. Correct, but there's many different types of villains, and there are also certain villains that do seek redemption once they realize they are the villains. And if they're in an impossible situation as either a result of MK Ultra programming, threatened family members, etc., they're going to be limited in what they can do and how they can do it. Justin Johnson says, nope, I see a deceiving devil worshiper advocating in crimes against humanity, just my opinion. Well, again, I'm not saying you're wrong about that, because if that's one of them MK Ultra personalities, that's what that personality was programmed to do, and in certain clips, that is evident. But in other clips, where perhaps that psyche is being fractured and another personality emerges, I see other things also. So let's not fall for false dichotomies. Phil says, do a screenshot and a poll of a few options. Let's see how many see the same thing. Well, regarding which part, because when he's full MK Ultra'd, you don't see that level of self-hate and projection. But when, like here, like look how he's struggling mentally here. Like look at this freeze frame here. It's like this is mid-psyche fracture. It's like the personalities are at odds with each other. It's almost like he's playing the role of this MK Ultra personality against the will of his root personality. Isn't that what it looks like right here? He's struggling with himself. Nachiketa says, I agree with that. There is a gradient of bad guys, depends on their situations. It's not so black and white, and MK Ultra is real for sure. Justin says, desperation sets in when you are a liar and someone puts you in your place. Correct. But in addition to that, there could also be other things going on. So it is that, but it could also be other things in addition to that. And that could also cause some of this psyche fracture. I mean, there just seems to be like a lot of pain under the surface of McToon. I mean, I don't know what happened in his childhood, but there's just a lot of pain, regardless of what the truth is. Jeff Hunt says, cornering a liar can be dangerous. Also true. Also true. Justin Johnson, he's sold out. Very possible. But yeah, there could be many different factors at play here, and obviously this is Mindshock, where we're going to go over each and every one of these theories and possibilities. Sean says maybe his NASA underwear is too tight. Sure, but that doesn't exclude the MK Ultra psyche fracture, does it? Does it? Does it, Sean? I mean, I'm seeing MK Ultra psyche fracture here. Zetetic says his full-time job being a globe shill is lucrative. Well, that's why he's a grifter. My question is, if he was MK Ultra, perhaps his root personality realizes all of this, and there is deep shame and self-hatred because of it, and the only way that he can gain redemption is just behaving like such a fool to make it obvious that there's something else going on. What if I'm the only person that is understanding his cries for help here? Because I think I'm the only one who's proposed this theory. Zetetic says Fight the Flat Earth has the same vibe. I'm not sure. That guy could just be purely mentally disabled. Because I'm really not sure about that guy.
There, Austin. You need to give a chance to talk. Yes, I'm going to interrupt so that you can stop talking. Come on, Gary.
You've muted me, not by default, over and over.
Yes, shush, little boy.
You never talking like this in real life. We've all seen you in real life, Platoon. Do about 30 push-ups before you act like you're tough, bro.
You haven't seen me in real life.
I have actually seen videos of you in real life, and I laughed very hard.
All right.
You can't help yourself. You can't help yourself.
Strawmanning space time. Keep going.
Ziggy Sigwald said, I thought it was at Globy who was debating the Flurf at MC2 Live moderating. What is going on? I tried to stay out.
You jumped in a few times.
Because you're trying to save him.
You almost got me, Ross.
I wrote this document, and I just made up this new thing, and then leaked it, picked it up, and thought it was real. I recorded a video and uploaded it and left it private on my channel so that afterwards I could unprivate the video and people could see the upload date and see, yep, it predates everything leaking out and it ties up everything and self-destructs the whole deal. And we invented these documents that said exactly what them to say and sent them to him, like we leaked them to him. He read it, and I'm like, and then I did the video. Yeah, that document is fake.
Oh, that was beautiful. That's one of the moments I forgot about that. Like, I absolutely loved watching that, and watching you explain that fake document was priceless.
Why is 8 inches per mile squared on the side of a globe? Like, why would they print it on the side of the globe if it was improper? Yeah, they do. I'm actually looking at a picture of one right now.
Show it.
This is printed on the side of a globe. Curvature of Earth, surface.
Zoom in more?
Sure.
Oh, very nice.
And
that's on the side of the surface. Yep. All right.
And
there's actually a picture of it.
Yeah.
Interesting. The world doesn't appear to be moving. Doesn't that really mean the burden of proof is on you to prove? Because it's counterintuitive, so wouldn't you have to convince me that the world is moving?
Act like you know 26 with a great question here. How many are known to be physically unwell? Heavy body toxicity and parasites may impair mental capacity. Very true. I mean, these are definitely not healthy-looking individuals. Lord Zed says, why is mistaken, missing, and taken combined? Mistaking, missing, taken. I don't know what you're getting at there, but that is a little weird. Lord Zed says, because when you were wrong, they used to take you and you'd go missing. That's kind of creepy. If you're mistaken, you'll be taken and you'll be missing. Mistaken. Sandro says, funny how none of these gatekeepers have never conceded even a single point that has been debunked. Well, again, it has a lot to do with narcissism as well. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm alone here. Look at McToon's face here. I mean, this is a sad, sad little boy, as he projected earlier. I mean, this is a sad man with a lot of self-hate and a lot of shame. I'm postulating we're dealing with fractured MK Ultra psyches here. That's the only thing that I can think of to make sense of all of this. Justin Johnson says, alone you are. All I'm saying is if it turns out one day, if McToon ever got his family safe, and he finally came out and corroborated all this, I would not be surprised. That's all I'm saying. I wouldn't be surprised if this was the case. Jeff Hunt says his handlers keep telling him he's right. It's a spell cast. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many moving pieces here. Salt says, is there an MK Ultra podcast you can plug? I mean, I kind of went deep on it in the Britney Spears podcast on Mindshock, actually. Operation Mockingbird, I went into it there. I believe I even went into the church committee on that podcast. And I touched upon it as well in the Jonestown podcast. But I haven't done a completely dedicated episode to it. Nachiketa says, I'm pretty sure McToon is a closeted flat earther. I mean, how much pain would that cause if you're MK Ultra to this level, and if you're compromised or your family's compromised, and it's almost like you're a slave and you have to continue the grift, shilling for scientism against your will? Would that cause behavior like McToon exhibits? That's the question I want everybody to ask themselves.
I think it's intuitive to me that the Earth is rotating. I have my intuitive version of the world that thinks that the Earth is rotating and spherical. So dishonest when they assert that flat Earth is the default. That is completely an asinine position. Completely. To be honest, in a debate, as a globe proponent, I don't have the burden. The default position is the globe. Then down is the other direction. Yep.
So down becomes up.
No, it's still down.
Down is everywhere then. Down is everywhere in your model. Reach the center, right, Toon?
Yeah, you keep going. Yep. Keep going. Yep.
And then what happens?
And then the direction of down is now the opposite of what it used to be.
So down became up. You can't say it, huh?
Is this geometry?
It, right? No, it's ridiculous. That's why you don't want to say
ridiculous that you don't understand it. No, down is still down. Now down is the other direction. This is not difficult.
Which is what?
Essie struggled with it so much.
I mean, this is so tough to dissect, because here it just seems like McToon is just short-circuiting, because the mental capacity's not there. But who said he can't have MK Ultra fractured personalities, many of which have mental disabilities? And many of which have extreme narcissism as well. Possibly, actually, part of the MK Ultra programming is to instill this great sense of narcissism, because narcissists are so easy to control. Because as Mark Twain said, it's easier to fool someone than convince them they've been fooled. Because most goofs walking around, they don't want to consider the possibility that they've been fooled, that they're dumb. So they're going to double down, and the more evidence you show, the more you demonstrate that an individual, that a narcissistic individual is wrong, the more they're going to double down and spiral. Now, obviously, that is what we're seeing here with McToon. I'm just postulating we are also seeing many other things. Awesome Town Matt asks, any proof McToon is a family? I don't have any proof, And I'm not saying he does, but I'm saying if he does and they were threatened and he can't expose all of this, what would his only recourse be? That was what I was postulating. Again, I'm not saying this theory is true. I'm just putting this additional theory forward that McToon might be the good guy. This is his cry for help. And perhaps nobody's hearing this cry except for me. Welcome, Grenade Gaming, Big Pine Sailing, Harmon Walker, Real Offended, all up in here now. Awesome Town Matt says, McToon is in the closet on multiple things. Lord Zed says, you're so funny, Bruce. What was funny? I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just bringing forth this additional theory that McToon might be the good guy in disguise, fighting back against his handlers, fighting back against the MKUltra programming, unlike any other, in the only way he knows how, by putting forth the dumbest arguments, by behaving like a 4-year-old throwing a temper tantrum. This is his cry for help. Who can hear it? Armando Garcia says, even if it was a cry for help, how would you help him? Well, that is tough. That's tough. I think the cry would be in bringing about awareness of the scientism cult. So simply being aware that there are these anti-flat earth grifters executing an agenda, that's what the cry for help exposes. So exposing scientism would be what he's trying, if this is a cry for help. Again, I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that's one of the theories. That's the McGuire theory at the moment. Hello, I am Ion's cat. So the cry for help would be to do exactly what we're doing here on Mindshock, exposing the scientism cult, promoting logic and reason instead of blind faith in the establishment. So that's what his cry for help accomplishes. Now, you mean personally helping him? That's a tough one. How do you help someone that's MKUltra compromised? That's a great question, actually. Like, how do you help some of these celebrities that want out after being MKUltra? Or YouTube personalities or whoever. I'm not saying he's like a big-time celebrity, but like celebrities in Hollywood that were MKUltra'd, how do you help them? Real Offended said, you doubled down on the LSD. You talking about me? I am LSD clean tonight. Sober at all times here on the Mindshock podcast, where logic and reason are at the forefront, are paramount at all times. I do not advocate for any kind of impairment, alcohol or otherwise. Oh, Real Offended was saying that's how you help them, by doubling down on the LSD. Interesting. Double down on the LSD treatment, they'll emerge on the other side. I actually am not aware of that. So, are there... I know there were psychologists who were working with MKUltra individuals. I don't know what their ultimate treatment was. Bo Cohen said, I referenced one of your videos to an anti-flat earther and told me that you're Dave Weiss. No, I am not Dave Weiss, but ever since I did that, I was actually going to have him on. I was going to do an interview with Dave Weiss and Witsit here on Mindshock, but ever since I did that Occult NASA Patches podcast, it's been really glitchy. I actually had to get hardware equipment to circumvent some of the YouTube shadow banning and impairing of live streaming. So once I get that all sorted better, then I can try to schedule some more interviews with people that were requested. But hopefully I can get an interview with Dave Weiss pretty soon, and then you will be able to see that we are not the same individual. I mean, do people, like, Weiss is kind of a busy guy. He's doing all these other podcasts, and Mark Sargent, too. I do need to interview Mark Sargent. Maybe I will do... I mean, I'll give a heads up when I get that scheduled. Real Offended said, that's crazy. I might need to pick your brain about that hardware. I have the same issues. Yeah, I am certain I am not the only person being shadow banned on YouTube. It just wasn't... There really weren't that many glitches prior to that Occult Patches episode regarding NASA, because I showed some images from some old GeoCities websites from back in the 90s. I don't know if anybody else has shown them on YouTube, but apparently that got the attention of the powers that be, and they didn't like it.
Can't you say it, bro? Why can't you say it? You can't say it.
Can't say it.
Yeah, down is not up. Down is always down.
Down is always down. Except until it's up.
Well, when you're on the other side of the center of gravity, it's a different direction. On that side of the middle, it's here. On this side of the middle, it's here. That's not a problem. It's pointing up towards Polaris, or not up, and down, not down, but south.
Because that's how our model works. There is no up or down.
Isn't that weird?
It's I think it's really cool. We see new stars.
But we see the same.
Yeah, we see the same. So
Okay, so call me crazy, but McToon is actually winning me over with this robot polisher video. I mean, we got what we expected from Craig of Fight the Flat Earth. I mean, that's just plain old Gophery. With McToon, it's Gophery, but I'm just seeing so much shame and crying for help here. I think I'm going to have to be a McToon advocate. I think I'm going to have to advocate for McToon. This is an MK Ultra individual crying for help by intentionally arguing so poorly, so dishonestly, so immaturely as to expose what happened to him in his forced shilling for scientism. Am I the only one? Bo Cohen says Simon Dan is another blatant anti-flat earther. Yeah, that goof. Oh man, I'm not see. I mean, he's so painful to even watch and listen to. I'm not sure I can even do an analysis on him. Real Offended says, it is bad in a particularly intelligent way. That's true. I mean, even the dumbest person you can imagine would not be able to argue this poorly. I mean, how can this be organic? How can this be organic argumentation here? I mean, McToon takes it to such a level of both immaturity and just sheer gopher. Like, it's just really tough. Real Offended says, it's like someone intentionally getting all the answers wrong to show that they know it. Exactly. That's a perfect parallel there, Real Offended. Because even if you take the dumbest person in the world and make them take some random test, are they really going to get each and every question not just wrong on a basic level, but spectacularly wrong? Like, even on the essay questions, like, they write these extravagant, long-winded essays, like, not getting a single point correctly, but specifically as wrong as possible on the other end of the spectrum. Like, not even dabbling in any kind of middle ground. Like, that would be difficult even for the most mentally disabled people. Yes, Real Offended, they'd be able to at least guess one or two correct, yeah. Or at least be somewhat non-extremely wrong about each and every point. Like, maybe wrong, but not so spectacularly wrong. Real Offended says, he's so far off, it's crazy to think it's an accident. I agree totally. Okay, so we have one person here. Real Offended, did you get here kind of recently? Because I did a poll earlier about how many people feel bad for McToon because of all of the self-hatred and shame in his eyes. And that's where I postulated that this is a cry for help as a result of his MK Ultra fractured psyche. And if his family's compromised, if he has a family, he can't come out and just blow the whistle on it. So all he can do as the good guy in this situation is to argue so poorly and so immaturely that someone would notice and realize this is not a legit show. Real Offended says, I don't know if I'd go as far to feel bad. No, but if he was MK Ultra, though, like if he was MK Ultra either as a child or even as an adult, and he's doing this against his will, but his family's compromised, so he can't come out and blow the whistle. Jeff Hunt says he makes flat earthers because he is easy to read. Well, if that's the goal, like again, if this is a cry for help and his specific goal is to steer people away from the scientism cult by representing the cult of scientism so poorly, so spectacularly poorly, as to make anybody watching realize as to how illogical scientism really is. Sovereign Soul Unchained Mind says, I think he's a sweaty little creep that has been caught in some bad stuff and was coerced to do this. Very possible. And maybe that's part of where the shame and the self-hate comes in. Although, if he was MK Ultra and that's why he did a lot of the bad stuff, I mean, I'm not saying it is, but I think I might be the only genuine advocate for McToon now with this new theory. Justin says, that's what happens when you sell your soul. Okay, I'm just going to play devil's advocate or angel's advocate here for a moment. What if the only reason he agreed to sell his soul is because he was MK Ultra as a child? What if he was MK Ultra and the consent was not the genuine consent of an informed adult to sell their soul? Lord Zed in the chat says, I don't even think Satan wants this guy's soul. Wow. I don't think I've seen a comment like that before. Wow. I did not see that coming, Lord Zed. That's why Lord Zed is a legend in the Mindshock chat. Wow. Oh, man. If he consented to all this as an adult and wasn't MK Ultra as a child, then that's funny. Sovereign Soul Unchanged Mind said, he looks like a lesbian gym teacher I had in high school. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, wow. Okay, let's try to get through this.
That's how it works. And sometimes I can get that it's hard to wrap your head around. Very complicated stuff, but it's people that understand it look at that and say, oh yeah, that would only work on a globe.
Yeah, I really think there's something to this theory. I mean, look at his face here. This looks like someone who doesn't want to be doing this. Does anybody actually think he's thrilled to be doing this? See, when you look at Craig, it's almost like Craig gets joy out of humiliating himself. He has some kind of just fetish for humiliation. With McToon, it almost looks like he doesn't like to do this. It's like he doesn't like to humiliate himself to this level, but he has no other option. It really does look like he was coerced by his handlers. And there's some MK Ultra fractured psyche going on here. Sovereign Soul says, boy's got a 5 head. I haven't heard that one in a while. Big Pine Sailing says, I don't think they even needed to MK Ultra him. They do it well enough with regular scheduled programming. But let's look at McToon's micro expressions here, though. It really looks like he was coerced to do. He does not look like he wants to be here shilling for scientism. It doesn't look like he enjoys this. Craig genuinely seems to get pleasure from humiliating himself. I don't know if the same thing can be said for McToon.
So there you go.
Or you could just go around wearing like a tail all around.
That'd be, yep. Maybe I should add a tail to my daily wardrobe.
I brought you a bag full of rootin' tootin' tricks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
I hate people like that. You are completely worthless human being.
Again, is there anyone who doesn't understand that Craig is talking to himself here? It's like he's using these sessions as therapy through all this projection. Sovereign Soul says, it could be that the negative energy feeds whatever ungodly thing that possesses him. Real Offended says, he's always extra mad and stressed out during the debates for no reason. Maybe there is a reason. If this is all coercion, and I mean, just looking at this guy's eyes, this is a combination of MK Ultra stare and self-hatred and shame. I mean, this is not a human that's proud of what they are doing. Can anybody say that this looks like an individual that is proud of what they are doing?
To just, you're a liar, an absolute liar, a worthless human being. You have no value.
I agreed to this based on the parameters that McToon would not interrupt and try to debate for this guy, and only moderating, no muting, no interrupting, and no debating for him. You helped him out in his opener because he couldn't get the words out. Then you've interrupted a second time. You're not debating me. I've dismantled you thoroughly numerous times. I'm debating.
Fine. Go ahead. Continue your no evidence string.
All right. Go on mute. Go on mute, Mr. Moderator. Hey. Okay. Back to the Seth guy that I'm debating. Okay. You agreed to not interrupt, and you've literally interrupted.
I'm gonna expose you on the internet. Oh,
I mean, he's moderating. I'm talking. Where's the moderator at?
Nah, I'm gonna let him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're gonna let him. I know, of course, because you're a gamma.
I will now stop allowing you to insult. Okay, got it there, big boy.
I mean, I don't really care if he calls me a gamma.
I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to McToon.
Yeah.
And this is the only place in the whole entire world McToon gets to pretend he has juice is on the internet where you got a mute button. I agreed to be on a debate show on a different channel. You then changed it, and you then brought McToon into it. I said, okay, I agree, but here are the parameters. We will not be debating 2v1. He will not be jumping in. He will not be muting me. He will not be debating for you, and I will not be answering all of his super chats because he does this for money.
And another important thing to notice here, I mean, does everybody hear how passionate Austin is? I mean, we're not talking about who's wrong or right in their position. Like, I mean, what's a good adjective to explain the way McToon looks here? I mean, I can think of one. Soulless. I mean, one of these guys is passionate to be here and promote their message. If McToon truly believed he was doing the world a service by fighting flat earthers, why does he look so ashamed? Why does he look so dispassionate? I mean, he looks soulless right here. Now, again, if this is all a result of MK Ultra fractured psyche. Oh, hello, Boggin. Did you just get here? I am presenting my new theory on McToon. I am becoming a McToon advocate. I think he might have turned good guy. I think he might have broke good. If this is an MK Ultra guy who was coerced into shilling for scientism as an anti-flat Earth grifter, and he's ashamed of himself, and there's so much self-hate in his eyes here. Just look at all these micro-expressions. There's so much self-hate. Is his only path to redemption to argue so spectacularly poorly for the cult of scientism, both on an emotional level and an intellectual level, to make it painfully obvious that he's not supporting this position? Real Offended made an excellent example in terms of a test where someone gets each and every answer wrong. Because even mentally disabled people, if they truly gave their best effort, they might accidentally get a couple questions correct. But to get every single question perfectly wrong, I mean, that's tough. That's tough, especially if there's essay questions and you write all these long-winded essays, not just being wrong, but being wrong so far to the end of the spectrum that McToon is wrong in his presentation. If that's not accidental, then that might all be a cry for help. Is this all a cry for help by McToon? And if he has a family and they're compromised and he can't blow the whistle on his MK Ultra handlers, perhaps this is the only option he has for redemption. Awesome Town Matt says, I think you are giving McToon too much credit because you feel bad for him, Bruce. Well, I do feel bad for him, but I'm not sure. First of all, I'm not saying that's true, but I'm just calling it how I see it. I'm trying to be objective here. I'm trying to be objective. Real Offended says his family might be his handlers. Well, that'd be really dark. Awesome Town Matt says, the thing is, McToon gives the same answers as everyone else that debates Flat Earth. Not exactly. Not exactly. He did make some admissions that I thought were interesting. His psychological projection is a little bit more unique than others. And again, the self-hatred and shame in his eyes is also different than a lot of other people. Like with Craig, I just don't see it. Craig seems to relish in his humiliation. Like, he truly enjoys it. Whereas McToon, like, who looks at McToon here and they can genuinely say he doesn't look like, it doesn't look like someone's forcing him to do this? I Am Ion's cat says, McToon arguing so poorly to unmask himself is like Hunter Biden only had one way out, and that was forgetting his laptops in cars and at repair stores. I wouldn't say so. I think that's a non-congruent argument, logical fallacy, my friend, because there's so much more Hunter Biden could have done to blow the whistle on himself. I mean, there's way more he could have done. I mean, there could be 20 laptops. There could be, you know, every vehicle filled to the brim with drugs in the trunks. I mean, there's just so much more he could have done. But there might be something to that as well. I mean, if Hunter Biden hates himself to that level, I mean, maybe he didn't leave the laptop there by accident. He wants to get caught. That is a common theme with certain criminals. So even though I believe that's a non-congruent argument, logical fallacy, there might still be truth to it. Let's not forget the fallacy. Big Pine Sailing says, don't knock the rock. Sovereign Soul Unchained Mind says maybe he is blinking Morse code for help. I don't know. I haven't checked his blink rate.
has then not told them about the super chat parameter. He has then interrupted me, muted me, and debated for you five or six times. I'm talking.
Here he's strawmanning space-time. Thank you.
See, that's all you can do. You said you wouldn't do this. You promised that you wouldn't do this, and you can't help yourself. You can't help yourself.
Strawmanning space-time. Keep going.
June.
All right. Sorry, I'll just gamma back here for a bit.
Okay, perfect.
Good
so,
boy.
Just so the audience knows, okay? I told McToon to tell his audience at the beginning of the debate I wasn't taking super chats. He couldn't resist the influx of super chats, so he didn't tell you guys. So now either I made
it clear. Maybe you missed that part. It's all right.
No, what you made clear was that you'd read them at the end of the debate.
Yes,
that you wouldn't interrupt with but I told him I wasn't going to answer any of the super chats. We both know they're all going to be for me, McToon. We all know that. And you can't even resist holding up. Listen, I would have actually answered the super chats out of respect if you had held up your end of the bargain, right? But you couldn't resist. You had to debate and interrupt and mute me over and over and over. I do not.
Armando in the chat says, don't you think if it was really MK Ultra, then you couldn't see that cry for help or the discomfort in his face? Well, first, it depends on at what point in the fractured psyche is it. Because if you look at all the Hollywood actors that are MK Ultra as kids, you don't see the cracks until later in life. Because the MK Ultra programming only lasts a certain amount. The cracks come later, not at the beginning. And if you actually go back through the career of many actors and watch their interviews, you actually can see those cry for helps and discomfort in their face and the micro expressions. You actually can see them way earlier than their breakdowns, their eventual breakdowns.
Have to answer your super chats.
No. You can rage quit. That's fine.
No, it's not. How's this a rage quit? You're the one making me end the debate. You're making me end the debate. I just dismantled this guy. Hey, do you know what the? Since I've said it numerous times, let's just prove that you don't even know your own model. Do you know the circumference of the Earth yet?
Yeah.
Not you, McToon. I'm asking this guy.
Not off the top of my head. I don't.
You know the radius of the Earth?
I don't think. Wait. Let's be clear. Are you asking for something you can't provide for your model? Then it's invalid.
I don't have a model.
Exactly. You fail.
Hey, it's falsification.
Falsified flat Earth. Every sunset falsifies flat Earth.
Hey, Seth, is falsification independent of replacement?
Yeah, we've falsified.
Is
flat
your
Earth.
name Seth?
No, it's Toon. But we falsified flat Earth.
That's not your name. Your name is Michael. Hey, Michael, shut up.
Hey, Bob, put Bob on. I want to ask him about a 15-degree-an-hour drift.
Hey, there's actually over. Truth is, we do not live on a magic spinning cartoon ball, dude.
That's not the truth. That's a lie.
McToon, I'm talking.
No, I'm just going to confront your lies. That's a lie.
Let me talk to Seth, dude.
You're a liar.
Okay, Seth, here's the deal. We have tested the Earth, okay? You claim a circumference of 24,901. You don't know how to test things.
Again, feel free to call me crazy, but are these debates like therapy sessions for McToon? The way that he's delivering this, you fail. You don't know this. You're a liar. You're wrong, whatever. Doesn't it seem like he's almost role-playing his MK Ultra programmers when he pleaded with them? When they changed his identity and fractured his psyche while he was pleading with them on who he was, and they were telling him that he was the liar when they fractured his psyche with the MK Ultra program. I mean, look into his eyes right here. The first thing I thought of here is he just role-playing his handlers and MK Ultra brainwashers? Because when he told them the truth about himself, like, it's just the way that he's barking these responses, it just does not seem organic, so to speak. It doesn't seem like this is how a regular non-MK Ultra, non-traumatized individual would be talking to anybody. Again, I mean, look at Bryant Myers debating Austin Whitsitt. It's a completely different debate. Even though they might be saying either the same things or very similar things, the way that they're saying them is completely different. We see some huge psychological issues here with McToon, regardless of what the source of the issues are. Maybe it's not MK Ultra programming, it's something else. But it's almost like this is all either role play or psychological projection. It's just the mannerisms in his delivery of these lines. It's almost like he's just reenacting the trauma from his childhood or programming and what was said to him. I mean, look at his face here. This just does not seem like a natural, normal conversation. I Am Ion's cat says, do the weird angles of the papers stuck on the wall behind McToon spell something, or are they a message? Yeah, if we had higher resolution, it would be interesting to know if he spelled out some things in the background there. Sovereign Soul says he lives with his mother, no lie. Well, that opens up a slew of possibilities there. Does anybody think his mother is his MK Ultra programmer? If his mother abused him, like, emotionally and psychologically, and she spoke to him in this manner, then he's basically just going to speak to everybody the way she spoke to him. I mean, how can anybody not feel bad for him, especially after his projection monologues about how he's a worthless human, etc.?
Stop interrupting me. And a radius value of 3959. That requires a certain obstruction at 1.225 from the square root of observer side and feet. It's not there, bro.
Refraction.
You don't have refraction. You have to presuppose axial rotation. Refraction is our argument.
Rotation's been measured.
Rotation and it constantly fluctuates. They can never be disproven. Hey,
Austin.
Okay? So
Dan Faulkner works for Answers in Genesis.
I'm still
Christian. He wrote this book, Debunking Flat Earth.
Hey, there's a lot of people that claim to be Christian, so that's not what we're talking about.
Oh, no true Scotsman. Got it.
Yeah, we can tell you're just a liar when you claim that you believe in the scriptures, but then you begin and warp them with the very creation account at the beginning. So, Seth, here's the drill. You, for a living, you spit on the scriptures, McToon, so don't let me get started on you.
Right.
Seth, here's...
Hey, Austin, shush.
So, I want to make it clear.
The way he says shush, that's probably just either the way his mother or his MK Ultra handlers talk to him. Because that's the only cope he has in being exposed here. What's interesting is, obviously, he also used the No True Scotsman incorrectly. Because that was another projection there. Would a true Christian, he was trying to say a Christian who exposes flat earth and the fact that he's claiming to be a Christian, that means he's a Christian. Well, the burden of proof is on positive claims. So that would be shifting the burden of proof. No True Scotsman is mostly, that's the reason that's a fallacy. You'd have to be correct about the overall premise first in order to invoke No True Scotsman. So, would a true Christian believe in would believe in the heliocentric model? Because that's not what the Bible says. So that's not a No True Scotsman. Real Offended says, the way he talks is literally the way his mom used to talk to him. Is it really that simple? Maybe it is. Maybe it is, but I'm going with the MK Ultra Fractured Psyche theory for now.
They actually had to stop the debate because they know I'll debate every single part of the straight telling down with school.
Run me a river there, Gamma.
While the moderator has to debate me. Stop interrupting, McToon.
Yes, you do.
Hey, Seth,
no, the debate's done. I'm on to reading super chats. We're done with the debate. Yeah, he had said coming in that he won't answer super chats, basically. But Austin will be so mad. He's like, you just sued for the super chats. Hey, I like the super chats.
Like in this, I'm sure there was no one that
Who is this gem? I mean, this guy just seems incredibly slow. I'm not seeing the self-hate or the MK Ultra fractured psyche. This individual just seems like an extremely slow individual. Is everybody following the difference in why I have the MK Ultra fractured psyche theory for McToon and not anybody else?
Was convinced to cross the fence. I just find it mentally stimulating to try to come up with ways to explain physics to 7-year-olds.
Ooh, you're shooting a little high there for a lot of fun.
It was a little bit complicated.
Again, that obese goof, it doesn't look like he's being coerced to be there. But look at McToon here. Like, pretty much almost any freeze frame on McToon, it literally looks like he's being forced to be there and forced to do this.
Getting this whole thing set up, because originally it was going to be on Irish Demon's channel, but for like
he's not set up host yet.
The setup reason we figured it would actually be better. You were gracious enough to host for us.
Conspiracy Castle, which is Alex Stein. They used a different account. Or it says Austin demolished the slob. Sad day for the globe.
What a telling expression there. How telling. How telling.
I mean, this is my first live debate. Yeah. I did my best. It's a little bit hard to do much against just a bunch of
gish gallops and word salads.
I can't help that I'm not very good verbally.
And then he said I was ugly and I couldn't read good.
One of the things is a Foucault pendulum.
He's not going to admit he was lying, obviously.
I'm not lying. It's because
Again, look at the glee. Look at the glee in Craig's face at humiliating himself. I mean, look at the fetish. Like, this guy truly enjoys humiliating himself. Where, I mean, he's like the Joker. He's like the Joker in Batman. He truly loves his job. But again, just to reiterate, McToon's the complete opposite. McToon looks like somebody forced him to do it. And it's just shame and self-hate on the side of McToon.
I wouldn't admit I was lying if I'm not lying.
Would you like to admit you were wrong?
No.
So you are a liar.
Wait till the video that I bring out that shows exactly why I wasn't wrong. You know, you can wait for the video about how wrong you were about everything that you said. If you want to keep waffling about nonsense that you don't understand, and neither does anybody else here, that's fine. You are going on about relativity, which you don't understand, and no one here understands. And neither of us really know what we're talking about.
I mean, he's kind of sort of got MK Ultra eyes too, but I don't see the self-hate and the shame that I do from McToon. I mean, this is just glee at humiliation. I mean, this is some kind of scientism cuckoldry. I mean, is that what we're gonna call what Craig does? Oh man, but I mean, there are some startling admissions here. I mean, he's pretending that he's gonna he can obviously speak for himself that he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's obvious. But the level of narcissism where he's hallucinating to have the mental capacity to evaluate the person that he's talking to doesn't know what they're talking about. But the most telling thing about Craig, though, look at the glee in his eyes. The glee at humiliating himself.
Stop
How do you know
me
Boss
and your
doesn't know what he's
advantage
talking
here.
about?
Okay,
Right,
so the
stop
fact that
helping.
you don't understand it has no bearing on the fact that I actually have researched it and read what Einstein said.
Yeah, but
and
you
that
still don't
haven't,
understand
okay?
it. You don't understand
You don't
it at all.
know that.
You
How do you
think
know if I have
understand
an
it, but
inaccurate
you really
understanding
don't.
if you don't understand it?
I'm saying that you're not right, but I don't have the full answers to explain why right now.
Oh, so you know I'm wrong, but you don't know why.
No,
So
I know
I got a
you're
simple
wrong.
question.
I just don't have
That's
the
what I
ability to
heard.
succinctly answer why right now. What I'm saying is that your conclusion and the way you've reached your conclusion is wrong.
But we can't accuse Craig of not having a functional subconscious, because his projection, even though it's a completely different style than McToon's, it's on point. It's on point. His subconscious realizes that he's wrong about everything, and he doesn't understand anything.
And I'm going to find the words and the way to succinctly explain why. I have professors from Edinburgh University telling me you are wrong. There's no point sitting here with you going round in circles about relativity when neither of us have the proper knowledge to make this discussion work.
I know 100 times more about this than you, and you want to keep bundling me in with your ignorance.
Neither of us have enough knowledge for this conversation, and that is a
keep
fact.
saying it.
I will come back to this when both of us have enough knowledge for the conversation. Right now, neither of us do. Simple as that.
How can you understand relativity if you can't even understand the difference between rotation and orbit?
Dude, orbit is a rotation.
No.
No. Rotate is to spin, turn, or revolve.
Witsit, you clearly just had the difference explained to you.
Right, Mickelson Morley was not set up.
You have a
problem. They take it too literal. They can't just have any sort of thought process for themselves to just understand that that's exactly what you fucking do.
Yeah, they have to
Well,
take
it's the
that
same thing.
pedantically.
The orbit is rotation, right? Like he just
No,
read the
it's
definition.
not.
Okay, well, look, hey, Connell, since you're so smart, can you answer my question?
Okay,
Does the Earth revolve around the sun? Yes or no?
Yes.
Rotate is to spin, turn, or revolve. The Earth does not rotate around the sun. It orbits or revolves. A rotation is not a revolution. Rotate is to spin, turn.
Again, I just want to reiterate that look at the animation that Craig possesses here. He's so animated, like he truly enjoys humiliating himself like this. Like, who would publicly read a definition, include words in the definition to explain something, saying that it doesn't match the definition you just read? So, I mean, this level of goofery that Craig, it's like he has a fetish for humiliating himself. Like he's not even on a four-year-old English comprehension level, and he wants to talk physics.
Turn or revolve. Which is right when he says the Earth revolves around the sun. He's wrong when it says it rotates around the sun. There's a difference between
So when I cite
revolution
NASA
and
saying
rotate.
the Earth rotates around the sun, you'll all admit you're wrong, or are you going to say NASA's wrong?
Well, NASA would be using the wrong word in that case.
You just read the definition that the Earth revolves around the sun, and then you read the definition of rotate, and it says revolves in the definition that you read.
No,
okay?
I
So
didn't
it
say
is
that. Rotate is to spin, turn, or revolve. Maybe you haven't heard me properly because you can't rotate around another body.
Why does your definition of rotation that even you read off have the word revolve in it?
It did
mean, this is truly a not knowing whether you need a laugh or cry situation, right? Oh man, because I mean, clearly Craig knows how the internet works. Anybody can just rewind that segment and clearly hear the definition that he just read that includes the word he's claiming it doesn't include. Oh man. I mean, and I feel so bad for Witsit here. I mean, this has to be worse than talking to like a mentally disabled child. I mean, mentally disabled children they're capable of basic understanding. I don't know if Craig is, but this is crazy. This is crazy. I mean, I don't know how much more of this I can handle. I don't know if we're going to be able to finish this. I think we're going to have to go part 3 on this. Like, we examined McToon. I don't think I have it in me to dissect Craig psychologically here. I've already done so on other podcasts. I'm going to need a 3-parter. I think Salt says makes you think what their viewers are even listening to. Well, it's like I blame his viewers because I gave this example. If a toddler is getting cheered on by friends or whoever to get in the ring with an adult to box them, and they've basically gaslit the toddler into thinking that they will actually beat an adult in a physical boxing match, and then the toddler cries, "Oh, the adult's chicken for not engaging." Like, it's so weird. Like, I blame his followers who are cheerleading a mentally disabled individual into humiliating themselves. Beaten Track says Craigsy. Craig is Craigsy. Real Offended says, I'm going to steal this MK Ultra angle next time I debate McToon, by the way. I mean, it's not an angle. This is my legitimate theory on McToon at this point. From what I've seen from this video, analyzing the micro expressions, this is legitimately the McGuire theory. So, yeah, I'm gonna end it here. We'll have to do a part 3 to finish this robot polisher video analysis, but McToon won me over, I have to say. McToon really won me over. I think he legitimately might be the good guy crying out for help due to his fractured MK Ultra psyche. And the only thing he can think of for redemption at this point, I mean, the self-hatred and the shame is so extreme, perhaps this is only recourse if his family was threatened. So, okay. Before we do part 3 on this series on Anti-Flat Earth Grifters Exposed, I will do... I forgot what everybody wanted. Did you guys want so-called Professor Dave versus Austin next? Or there was another debate that happened that I didn't get to. Did you guys want that one next? I think that's what everybody wanted next. So perhaps I will do that one next. I totally forgot. What was the other episode? There was another episode that everybody wanted. I totally forgot what it was. Oh, Soy Lodge. Yeah, the Soy Lodge one. Okay. Yeah, that was the other one. I mean, I think I need a break from Soy Lodge as well. I haven't explored Professor Dave's fallacies and humiliations in a while. So-called Professor Dave. So yeah, that'll be next with Austin. So I will do that one next, and then I'll have to finish the Soy Lodge one. Adam says Dave is even worse. Well, I did do the so-called Professor Dave versus Flat Earth Dave analysis, which was quite hilarious. That one was actually, it was nowhere near as painful as all these other ones. I don't know what you mean by worse. I mean, it was entertaining. I mean, this one might be very painful, though, but we'll see. We'll see. Heracles showing up late. You're definitely going to have to rewatch this one. I have a new theory on McToon, the McGuire theory, and I'm gonna be sticking to it for a while. Awesome Town Matt says, logically, wait a second. Does everybody here concur that so-called Professor Dave is actually logically worse than Craig or McToon? Really? I don't know if that's possible. I mean, it's kind of interesting because they all have unique brands of goofery. That's what makes some of these psychological analyses so interesting, because very, very unique brands of goofery. Real Offended said they're all on the same level. Oh, man. Well, we'll see. We shall see. So I hope everybody enjoyed another edition of the Mindshock podcast. If you want to help support the podcast, help logic and reason return to a world where it is quickly going extinct, as is proven in each and every flat earth debate, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. You can also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Help support the channel that way. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like and share Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. This is Bruce McGuire signing off. Catch you guys next time.